and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. The suicide note of an engineer that created a social media storm has prompted the Bengaluru police to register a case and launch an investigation into the allegations that have been leveled against his wife. The FIR has been filed against Atul's wife, his mother-in-law, his brother-in-law and the uncle of his wife. Now, according to the FIR, the accused filed false cases against Atul and demanded 3 crores to settle the matter. The FIR also notes that the allegation that his wife was demanding 30 lakh rupees for allowing Atul to meet his son. This comes after 34-year-old Atul Subhash, hailing from Uttar Pradesh, died by suicide at his Bengaluru apartment on Monday, leaving behind a 24-page note in which he accused his estranged wife and her family of harassing him. In fact, I'm going to take you through this FIR copy that we have been able to retrieve. The FIR over here has been filed in the Marathali subdivision police station. It has been filed 2 days ago on 9th of December 2024. It of course has been filed in the police station which is in Bengaluru city. Now, Marathali is the area of jurisdiction where Atul used to reside. Now, this FIR has been filed under the Bharatiya Nyay Sanhita. Now, it says occurrence of the offence day was Monday and the time of death has been estimated to be between 1 a.m. to 10 a.m. and it in fact says it gives us the exact address where Atul used to reside in. This was in Karnataka. This was in the Manjunatha layout, Munekolal, Bengaluru city in Karnataka. Here's a look of all the details, and this particularly, if you take a look at the details of the suspected accused with full particulars, and there you have on top of it, we are not going to reveal the names of the suspects, the man who has accused the family of his wife as well as the wife in harassing him, in inciting him to take his life. And the action taken as per the investigation that is now going to follow the FIR is the FIR read out and explained in his or her language. Also, all these details have been provided, and there at the bottom of it is the SHO who has signed this copy, this FIR. So, these are details that we have taken you through in wake of these shocking details that are coming in the suicide of this youth by the name of Ajay, and he has obviously written that detailed death note, and he has accused his wife and the wife's relatives of extorting money from him, of inciting him to commit suicide. Abetment to suicide is the big charge, the FIR that has been filed against the family members of this woman who was married to this person who has killed himself. Joining me on the telecast is Lalita. And Lalita, let's hear it from you in a situation such as this about the investigation that is now going to take place. Pressure is mounting on the police. How do you think this case can be resolved?
Look, in any suicide,
please go ahead, ma'am.
The police has to take cognizance of the person who has committed suicide has said or written. In this case, I think he's recorded a long video, more than an hour long, where he has given in detail his complaint and the story of the harassment that he has faced from his wife or ex-wife and her mother, brother and uncle. I agree that we live in a very patriarchal world in India even today, but that doesn't mean that women should take advantage of the laws that are put in place to protect them. Unfair is unfair, wrong is wrong. Gender bias should not be reversed on its head in such a way that men who are not at fault are harassed or blackmailed or pushed to suicide, as in this case. That is a crime. Now, it's the job of the police to do the investigation thoroughly, which I'm sure they will do. But it is unfortunate that I don't know if he has accused the judge, but I'm told that the family of the boy has also accused the judge of being corrupt and haven't taken a bribe. Because I have read about this case in detail, and it says that the boy in question, the Atul Shubhash, had explained in detail along with legal proof about how much he earns, etc. So the amount that was finally awarded to the girl, and the fact that the girl and her family showed a very, very uncaring and very cruel attitude towards him, taunted him into saying, oh, you might as well kill yourself, sort of thing, has pushed this boy over the edge. People should understand that laws are not in place to torture others or to take revenge. Laws are meant to be for justice. And in this case, the double whammy is that if the judge is actually, it's true that the judge has done this, has overlooked justice, exactly what the letter and the spirit of the law is, and has gone beyond it to harass a boy who turns out to be innocent, then the judge in question also must be held accountable. We cannot lose faith in our judicial system, especially in the name of anything, whether it's patriarchy or not. Indians should not be forced to lose faith in the judicial system. So I hope that the Matanahalli, I think you said, Maratahalli subdivision police station in Bangalore will take cognizance of it and will do a proper job. Will not, as we say,
Right.
without fear or favor.
Okay, Sanjay Sai, if you could, shed light into these developments and revelations that are pouring in, particularly about the number of cases that this a person, Atul Subhash, mentioned in his death note, in his suicide note. He spoke about how there had been a number of cases that had been filed, at least a dozen of them that had been filed by his wife against him. There were several others that had been withdrawn by the wife after a period of time. Do you think that makes for a strong case for his brother to fight for how they lost the life of their loved one, to the alleged harassment that this woman and her family were indulging in against this man?
We'll get into the case and the criminal investigation in just a moment. I think one part of his suicide note, which says, I may have destroyed my body, but it has saved everything I believe in. So I think that encapsulates the whole suffering which this gentleman has been going through for quite some time. I have never heard of a suicide note or a suicide video of this nature ever in my police career of nearly 32 years. And also of the task to be attended before he commits the suicide. So one day before suicide, on the suicide day, and the final moment. So the process itself has become a punishment, and 498A, if that was invoked at some particular point in time, it is only in favor of the woman. So whether it's being used, not being misused, or whatever might be the facts of the case, there is no denying the fact, and there is absolutely nobody who is coming and saying that whatever has been narrated in the suicide note and in the suicide video is right. So there is nobody who is saying that it is wrong. So the present scenario is that literally anything and everything which is narrated, if we take on the face of it, is true. As far as the case is concerned, now the current case which has been lodged as the abetment to suicide, if the suicide were not to happen, I don't think the police would have ever taken up a case of this guy getting harassed and running around to Jaunpur 40 times, leaving his job in whichever manner. There was earlier also a case, I think very recently, where the woman asked for 6 lakhs and I think the lady judge was asking, how do you come to this 6 lakhs figure? So he felt harassed both from his ex-wife, estranged wife or divorced wife, whatever you call it, and also through this whole system. Because what happens when you go to an investigative agency? I've headed anti-dowry cell for I think 1.5 years, some 25-30 years back. So the standard pattern is that if the girl dies, then you book everybody. So anybody on the husband side, so everybody is booked. So you can't get into the niceties of it, and you have NGOs and there are lots of legal provisions by which it has to be followed to the last wish. of the girl side. So he has gone through this whole paraphernalia and finally he felt that there is absolutely no way he can take it forward. With regards to the evidence part of it of the case, which is abetment to suicide and criminal conspiracy, which has been registered under the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. So that particular thing, I think there is enough and sufficient evidence, and the documentation which this boy has made, those 24 pages and the video, and I think every single case, finally also is left with 9 or 10 cases. I am still not able to understand why on a similar note there can be 9 or 10 cases registered.
Yeah, but
Lots of times
Sanjay also, how can the police or the courts then finally determine whether the woman in question had actually abused the law?
See, it is the judiciary which can very clearly make out that the law has been abused. There is absolutely no denying the fact, and if the judge who is there, the presiding officer who is conducting the trial of the case, if he is not able to make out whether the section itself has been misused or not, I think that it is a very difficult situation where we are in. As far as the police is also concerned, because the capability to get into these subjective cases and the wherewithal and the integrity which they carry. Now, if that is displayed in the right manner and if we have the nature of faith which the society wants to repose in us, I think we can take a decision. But frankly, what is happening on the ground here, whatever case comes, we register the case because we don't have the wherewithal, the guts and the gumption to throw a case or to final report a case as a mistake of fact. See, once a case is registered, it is basically disposed in 3 manners. Either it is charge sheeted, or it is a mistake of fact, or it goes undetected. So very rarely you will find in any case of 498A or dowry death and that whole gamut of cases which is a part of this spectrum. Every case is charge sheeted. Literally every case is charge sheeted, and it also reality that when finally goes through the judicial scrutiny, the level and the nature of disposal or the conviction which we look for, that is not forthcoming because there are lots of loose ends. So this particular case is unique in nature, wherein the misuse of the law, also the inability of the police to go in for a proper investigation wherein you decide, okay, this has been committed, this has not been committed, and the judiciary taking it through a process and is also claiming that money was asked and there is a standard system by which some 50 rupees is paid or whatever is there. So there is all breaking news business which comes every day. I think that what is happening on the ground on a day-to-day basis, I think that is the biggest breaking news in this country.
Okay, Lalita, then also the question about, while there has been this appeal that has been made by Atul as well in his death note that these laws are being misused by women like his wife, it also then goes about, do you think, giving a tendency to give a clean chit to men who under the garb of using this argument would then want to relieve themselves of all sort of repercussions that they may be facing in terms of the genuine cases of women being harassed?
Look, I agree with you that I'm not saying if the immediate demand is, and I'm sure there is from many sources, that the law must be amended or changed. That is not really, that should not be done, because you're right, even now there is misuse of the law. What needs to be done is to ensure that in future anybody who misuses the law regardless of gender needs to be punished. And in this case, remember, there is also the very severe accusation that the judge has been corrupted by the ex-wife and her mother, brother, etc., which means that it's a double whammy. This is all, I don't know if that has been filed, is part of the FIR or is part of the video, etc. But even if it isn't, I would suggest that, maybe it's not within the court's ambit if it's not part of the FIR, to look into it. But this is an accusation that needs to be looked into, because I have heard of increasing misuse of the law. Now, as human greed is something that unfortunately is uncontrollable. And in this case, it's not just greed. I think it's also that the wife wanted revenge on this husband of hers, whatever the reason may be. But the law is not meant to carry out your revenge. The law is meant to get you justice. if what this boy has said, that she has demanded 30 lakhs just to allow him to see his child, that is actually illegal. That's not, it's just not right. It's not just right and wrong, it's also illegal. Both parents have equal rights over the child, and till a case is settled, the one who has custody of the child should allow the other parent to meet the child. It's also very bad for the child in question. But in this case, since Atul Subhash has been forced into committing suicide, as his suicide video and this 24-page note says, the police must take cognizance. They have filed the FIR, they've taken cognizance, but they need to do a thorough investigation. If in any way the police feels they cannot do justice to the investigation, then they must ask for help. They have to go through the court to do it, and whichever court it is, they must give it, because misuse of the law, regardless of patriarchy, should not happen.
Okay.
Once that happens, then it will go very badly against women who, I agree, more women are, punished than should be punished. In this case, if this has come up and the girl is found to be guilty, then she has to be punished. You can't excuse somebody saying patriarchy.
Okay.
On the other hand, we also should not forget that too many young girls, not so young girls also, too many women are put through hell by social strictures, etc., etc. It's a very delicate balance, but the balance has to be found. That's what the justice system is there for.
Sanjay Sai, there is also, in another case that was being heard by the Supreme Court in a matter related to dowry, and the court observed that it made a statement. There is in fact a growing tendency to misuse the laws protecting women. This amidst the outrage of death of Atul Subhash. Now, as was being mentioned by Lalita, there needs to be a balance that needs to be struck. And we also, do you think we also see a trend where there are more than a handful of women who are misusing the law simply because it is it is not gender neutral?
See, first and foremost, anything which relates to domestic violence and harassment has to be gender neutral. A presumption that a woman cannot do any wrong, that legal presumption is certainly flawed. There is absolutely no doubt about it. And cases with regards to Atul type, the genesis is somewhere there. Genesis is not anywhere else. Every case, notwithstanding that, every case is different and every case has to be dealt differently. So this generic nature of women misusing or men misusing and all that does not hold ground. It is simple, depending on the facts of the case, the evidence available. The investigative agency should have the guts and the gumption to come to the right conclusion of the case, whether it is charge sheet or whether it is a mistake of fact. Charge sheeting every single case which falls in this whole spectrum is not correct. The incapability of police investigation and also the judicial process to handle this grey area of subjectivity precisely based on the evidence. That is the biggest challenge. The police, the executive will say that the law will take its own course. Police will take its own time and investigate in whichever manner it feels like. 9-10 cases, and couple of these cases have been recalled or has been withdrawn. 9-10 cases are still running. I would like to know how those 9-10 cases have been charge sheeted. I have absolutely no idea. And the same judge or whosoever the other judge is, there is absolutely no connection in any court. Now there will be 10 cases running against him. There is also a maintenance case running against him, and that fellow runs pillar to post. The whole thing is siloed. It is siloed in a manner which is unimaginable.
Yeah. So what are the measures of redress that an individual, somebody like an Atul, can then take to ensure that his safety, his well-being, his mental health is also safeguarded?
See, when you talk of safety and where there is a standard ecosystem which operates in a very standardized manner. Beyond that, everybody will tell you that it is the rule of law and law will take its own course. Either the procedures or whosoever are the presiding officers or the police investigation, the law takes the course which the people who are in charge of the law and the process want the law to take course. So it will take only that course. Now a person like Atul, I will ask a counter question or I'll just elaborate. Now the point he goes to the police does not listen to him. He is going to the family court. There is nobody. He has given all sorts of details or whatever. And the family court is non-convinced. If he goes to an NGO, the NGO will defend the girl. He goes to the executive agencies. Executive agencies are very clear cut. Your case is sub judice. Thank you. So his case is sub judice. So where does he go? And he is a person, or whatever little I have read from the newspaper reports, I have not gone through the suicide note. So I feel that he is a person who has huge amount of self-esteem. And because of that self-esteem, he has not opened to anybody. And the judicial process and the investigative process and the ecosystem which surrounds all that. So that itself has become punishment for him. And that is why finally what he is told, I may have destroyed my body, but but it has saved everything I believe in, which means the ecosystem in parts and the totality of the ecosystem has not been able to provide him the slightest bit of safeguard.
Okay. All right. On that note, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast. Stay tuned on NewsX for the rolling coverage of this dramatic events that are taking place, and there's more information pouring in as the minutes pass by. Thanks for watching NewsX.